Richard Meier is an American architect born in 1934 in New Jersey. He is noted for his refinements of and variations on classic modernist principles. Graduated from Cornell University, he opened his own firm in 1963. His early experience included work with architect Marcel Breuer and the firm of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. Among his influences, we can find architects Bernini, Alvar Aalto, Frank Lloyd Wright, Le Corbusier, and Louis Kahn. He has won many awards throughout his career, such as the Pritzker Award, the Royal Gold Medal, the 25-Year Award, etc. In this video, I will be analyzing Meier's work through architectural elements and effects, such as color, light, texture, rhythm, acoustics, circulation, and space and scale. One of the most characteristic aspects about Richard Meier's architecture is his insistence on a monochromatic style, being all of his projects white. He said, "Architecture is about light. The whiteness reflects and refracts the light. The reflection and diffraction of the light is hard to perceive in a picture, but we definitely can see the difference between his teacher's village and the building next to it. We can also see the relationship that the Berda Museum establishes with the sky through its color, how it may look even gray. He shows his respect and awe towards nature by saying, 'Look outside at the beautiful autumn trees. There's nothing architecture could do to be as beautiful as that.' For example, through the Douglas House, we can see how the color white makes the presence of the building obvious, but doesn't interfere with the landscape around it. This picture of the idol Cementi Isla shows perfectly how the color white highlights the natural colors of the sky, which is coherent with Meier's statement. Through the Jubilee Church, Richard Meier shows us how the correct use of light over plain geometry and layered definition of spaces can make them clear and comprehensible. As a spiritual building, the Hartford Seminary of Theology has a sacred atmosphere, which is achieved through the use of filtered light. In the High Museum of Art in Atlanta, the atrium walls include windows that bring in natural light, which causes a constantly changing interior. The choice of Meier's light in the Museum of Decorative Arts in Frankfurt corresponds to the open character of space. In this building, he adopts the illuminating scheme of a Baroque character, making illumination an emotional and spiritual phenomenon. Meier's Paul Getty Center is overly rich in texture. It brings in to the interplay of nature and architecture, reflecting affinity to the classical architecture. The Hartford Seminary of Theology expressionist textures successfully contribute to the creation of that sacred atmosphere that characterizes it, without disturbing the virtue of openness. The mutated panels become, according to Meier, part of our continuous exploration of a solid and void, transparency and opaqueness, light and texture, the rational and the intuitive, and the ephemeral with the physical world. As an example of it, we have the Luxembourg home. In Meier's Southern California beach house, the structural rhythm is expressed through the beams at the roof, located above the horizontal framing. Categorizing it, this would be rhythm of lines. The Jubilee Church is the perfect example for repetition of differences because of the descending progression established by its curved walls. In the Teacher's Village, we can find repetition of dimensions through the windows, which aren't always the same shape, but they definitely manage to keep the rhythm. The wall panels and modular windows in the Luxembourg home establish a clear rhythm through the repetition of shapes. Acoustics are not Meier's forte. There's only one project in which he really paid attention to this element, and it is the Beethoven Festspielhaus. The shape of its concert hall provides a wealth of supportive sound reflections while developing reverberation. The acoustic plan was developed by acoustician Larry Kierkegaard. In the Douglas House, we can see Meier's characteristic use of a corridor as frontal entrance to the building. In this case, it connects the mountain with the main door of the house. In the Athenaeum, Meier establishes a vertical circulation core externally, which connects the 5 floors of the building through staircases. Meier also uses a circulation core in the Frieder Museum, but in this case, it's located internally and contains ramps and corridors. In the Douglas House, we can see how Meier uses the human scale as reference for this dwelling. He uses a double height for the living room, which is still in a human scale, but gives the user a subconscious need of staying in that space. Still using human scale as reference, Meier gets to relate different spaces inside the Paul Getty Museum through the use of a double height that merges them together. The height inside the Jubilee Church can be a little thundering, so Meier puts a few walls in the sides and uses the altar as a reminder to the user that the building is made not only for God, but for him too.